followed by Faith Nzuki, followed by Wakoli Monica, followed by Obadiah Bahizire, followed by Moline Anyango Ngola, followed by, I think, Faith Nzuki is a later version, followed by Sylvia Kassaman, and then yeah, those for now. Those are the ones I've gone through for now. And that leaves me with not many for... No. Sorry, there are some here. Followed by Yvonne Gaki, Taslin Otieno, and Sibora Chepkemboi, and Cindy Emma. I think that's where we'll stop today, hopefully, because I have quite a bit of theory to go through today also. But as is very useful to us and almost part of our DNA, we would like to spend some moment with scripture. And what I've decided I'll be doing, because this is a leadership program, what we'll be doing is we'll be actually dealing with topics that traverse aspects of leadership as espoused in the Bible, but also what we are experiencing in reality. So I would like to share this message together, and it's about scripture, but it's about leadership, and that reinforces the course, because the course is on leadership and policy studies. And then next semester, I'm told I have one course with you. We'll spend more time again trying to bring these aspects up to you. So let me share this with you. And I'm working on a series of spiritual dispatches. And this, Carol, remember to be posting them. Like today's notes that I'm going to bring in chapter 1, they need all those notes because they need to have them as reference notes as they start working, completing their chapter 1. But also these spiritual dispatches, I think, are very important because many aspects of leadership will be coming through. So I hope everybody can see that. And Caro, can you see it yourself? Are you able to see it?
Yes, Prof.
The screen, huh?
Yes, Prof.
I don't know why the voice is so down. I don't know what I've done.
Although you are very clear, we can hear you so well.
Because I can't hear you. For example, now you're talking, you're very low.
Oh,
very
okay.
Very low.
Although on our side, we can take with someone. Anne Washira, our faculty, can you hear Prof?
Because I'll have a lot of problems if I can't hear them, and this is a discussion class. I don't know.
Dr. Josephine Munene from USIU, can you hear us? Dr. Josephine Munene? All right.
Yes, I can.
Oh, very well. Yeah, okay. All right. So, Prof, we can hear you. You're very clear.
Yeah, so I don't know what is amiss, but let me.
I can also hear now. I can also hear now very clearly. I think I had a problem.
Yeah, like now, I think I'm suspecting that is Boaz. I can hardly hear him. That's what I'm saying. So I have a problem with this end, but I'll try to figure it out. But some things I've learned
Prof, you
about
can take a
leadership.
moment, you leave, and then you come back just within a minute. Sometimes it does help.
What?
You can also just leave a little, take a minute, you leave, and then you rejoin.
Mm.
Otherwise, on our side, we can hear you so well.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yes,
speak?
we can. Yes, Prof, we can hear you so well.
Oh, I see. It was not, I had put on same as the system,
okay.
not on MacBook Pro speakers. So now it's clear. Good.
Okay.
Very good. So let me share. I just want to share some things I've learned about leadership as our devotion, but also trying to reinforce the other course we are doing. And I have scars to prove, so it's not just talking about it. If you look at the book of Mark 10:43 to 44, but it is not so among you, but whoever wishes to become great among you shall be your servant. And whoever wishes to become first among you shall be slave of all. I'm talking about leadership. It's about servanthood. It's about total sacrifice. What I've learned in life is that people do not want to follow. Even in this class, if we had not established a certain tempo, we would never have gotten a class of over 50 students in a course that is starting. People do not want to follow. And ask anyone clamoring, they do not want to acknowledge you as their leader and themselves as followers. They would rather have the reverse. So if you have a yearning to be a leader of people, you automatically have chosen an uphill task. It is better to become their servant. Everyone loves to be served. And I want you to see from a philosophical point of view why it is better to become a servant. However, not everyone wants to serve. Only the best and the strongest can serve. Serving is hard work. Serving runs counter to our self-centeredness. Serving demands more humility and love that most of us can summon. So serving is very hard, and that's what leadership is all about. That's what we have been commanded in Mark 10:43 to 44. But it is not so among you, but whoever wishes to become great among you. I think serving is hard and demands humility, love. that is something you need to reflect upon as a leader. That's why so few choose this way to make their mark in society. To be servants, to serve. They would rather lead than to serve. People who serve must decide whether it's only for the short-term gain. That means they're looking for quick results from their service, and if it's not forthcoming, they will shut down the servant business and be moving along, ready to try another tactic to win a following. Remember, leadership is about influencing and getting followers. But a true servant is not one who dictates his or her life to blessing those around them in whatever ways they can. They necessarily take the long view, knowing they may not see immediate results, may never be fully appreciated to see the good they have accomplished. Those who serve people must decide how they will do this. Will they take a poll count to find out what the crowd is clamoring for? Then package the findings into some kind of program and make them think it was a bright idea out of the goodness of the donor's heart? Or will they take the higher road and ask the Father how they should go about serving his people? And as Paul said, we preach ourselves, your servants, for Jesus' sake. 2 Corinthians 4:5. So I'm trying to convince you that leadership is equivalent to servanthood, because that is what is dictated upon us from the scripture. To serve people for Jesus' sake means we ask him how to serve them. In order to become leaders. They continued serving long after they were given the Oval Office, that is the office of the President of the US, or State House in Nairobi, or the title of CEO or President or Dean of a school or even a pastor. So serving others is a way of life to them, these people who have come out as leaders. Even after it's no longer required, they are not content to sit behind a desk and order their underlings to do the heavy lifting. They do the desk stuff as much as necessary, but in their best moments, when they are in their glory, they are with the people making their lives better. I want to plead to all of us that in this mission that God has given us to live on this earth, you will be in your best, at your best, when you are with the people and making their lives better. Servants are often unseen and unknown by members of the household. They do their work, then they move aside out of the way. The other day, we went to bury Dr. Henry Chakava and the service was at Moi Girls Vokoli. And Moi Girls Vokoli, opposite the gate of the school, there is the church, the Friends Church. So when we drove in, some of us were shunted towards the church, and only the VIPs went through the gate. So I told my driver, let's just go and park. There's no problem. So when I walked out, I think the chief was very embarrassed. And I said, no, we are okay. This was your arrangement. And then when we went to the tent, a huge tent, there was a front line of seats. And one of the aides there, somebody had asked me to sit at the front. I wasn't even willing to sit there, but one of the aides came and said, no, you know, this is, we are advising you don't sit here. He didn't know who I was. We're advising you sit on the second, third row, not second, third row. First and second row is preserved for our leaders. And you know, he even went out of protocol and was announcing that we are expecting the president of the republic. You never do that. So myself and several other dignitaries, personalities of went and sat people, even people like Taban or the Young and the publishers and many other people, I don't want to name them. We went and sat on the third row. So that front row was filled with, of course, the MCAs, the MPs, whoever you want to name them. And those were the people that were introduced to the crowd very prominently. Of course, the speaker was recognizing, we have Professor Ayiro, we have what. But I was asking myself, what mentoring are we doing to the young men and women? The importance was only up to MCA level or whatever it is. But Dr. Henry Chakaba was an intellectual in his own right. So I'm saying servants are often unseen and unknown. They do their work, then move aside out of the way. And when you listen to what those people told us, they said nothing different from what they have told us for the last 30 years, 40 years. I was rather taken aback. But as God would have it, during the service in Nairobi, I had sent some messages. I was allowed to speak in Nairobi at the Friends International. And when the preacher came to speak, he spent half of the time talking about Professor's message in Nairobi and kept on quoting what I had said. So, you know, those are God's ways. A servant works to make others successful. Sometimes a would-be leader will say, I've always wanted to be the president or pastor or dean or supervisor, as though the ambition justified it. And I want you, as you grow and walk on this earth, be aware of ambition. In most cases, what we call ambition turns out to be an old-fashioned case of self-centeredness and a lust for material things, human acclaim, and all the signs of power. Outsiders will find it hilarious that some people enter leadership from a love of easy money, public recognition, and a pedestal from which they can show off their talents. But most of us in the Lord's work, we hasten to say, have found none of that easy money, found the acclaim of the masses to be a fickle thing. Nowadays, I was shocked also at home that politicians are not stood for and clapped and shouted and welcomed. Something has gone wrong, even with the common people. And so I found that the acclaim of the masses to be fickle, it can disappear anytime. And I've yet to discover any kind of power over people from being called a pastor or a teacher or even a lecturer at the university. You're just a mere lecturer or a mere pastor. So far from finding the institution to be a pedestal, most leaders find it to be a workstation. All of that said, here 10 statements that sum up most of what I know of leadership, and I want to share with you as our devotion today, but also as part of our leadership course in this program. Leadership is not about dominating people, but encouraging them. You leave them better and stronger than how you found them. Leadership is not about charming people, but blessing them. You may be poorer for having helped them, but you know what you did is going to make a huge difference in the long run. Leadership recognition is given by people voluntarily. Hey, leadership recognition is given by people voluntarily, not won or captured or snared by someone with great personality traits. Sometimes ask yourself, if I was not a permanent secretary, if I was not a cabinet secretary in Ruto's government, would people still invite me to talk to them? Always ask that. If you didn't have any position or equity around yourself, would you still be given that chair? Number 4, the leader will have the greater accountability. At judgment, a lot of people will find themselves wishing they had had smaller responsibilities on this earth. And to whom much is given, much will be required. Luke 12:48. The leader has a bull's eye on his back. The arrows and darts will come his way. It's part of the price he pays. And indeed, many arrows and darts will come your way. If you can't handle that, then you are on the wrong road. The leader must have faithful colleagues and lieutenants to share the load. I normally say, I believe in favorites. Wherever I have led, I believe in favorites. I must have my favorite. Because I cannot do everything expected and required of me alone. I'm just the captain of a great team. So the leader must have faithful colleagues and lieutenants to share the road. I'm talking about favorites. So I sleep peacefully in my house at Lukenya, or when I fly to Eldoret to go home, because I have a favorite in Anne Wachira as the head of the resident teachers component in the university. And she has proved that. Whenever we have had distress situations, difficult situations, she stands in for me, she stands there with me. And I can say that of Mboto, I can say that of my dean of students, and the whole setup, my security, Wekesa and Dadizu, I can say that of the chaplaincy. So as you lead, you must cultivate a relationship where you have favorites, people who catch your vision and they're able to run with it, and they will stand in for you. I believe that loyalty is a huge part of leadership. That's why I tell people, I have a very strange spirit. When somebody is not loyal to me, instinctively, I don't just know, but they are scattered away. It is just a gift I've been given. So loyalty is a huge part of my leadership. So the guy at the top is loyal to his team members and they to him. And you have to learn, and he has to earn their respect and loyalty before he can demand the same from them. When you are in my team, my cabinet, when you are on my staff at Sunshine or wherever, or in Western, and I see you are struggling in your department, I don't look outside the department, I look into you first. You know, respect and loyalty is earned. Like in a university, you cannot get respect and loyalty if you don't earn it intellectually. And even in high schools, there is that teacher who on Monday, when he's on duty, he's not visible anywhere on the compound. But when the bell goes, the school is running to parade. And he will stand there, and the school is dead silent. And he will simply say, I'm on duty this week. You know, I'm busy with my geography classes. Please help me so that I can help you people. I expect all of us to observe timeliness. Have a wonderful week. God bless you. And the week runs. But there are others, when they're on duty, they have to hire mercenaries in the staff. Mercenaries who will stand at strategic places in parade with paper to note the boys or girls who are talking for punishment. Respect is earned. Matching people's gifts and talents and interests and abilities with the right job and responsibilities is one of the greatest chores and accomplishments of a true leader. So know who you are putting in which place. In most cases, it's called delegation. Me, I don't think it is not delegation. It is an affirmation of loyalty and very deep intuition in knowing who can do a particular job. So you see Barnabas doing it in Acts 1:25 when he marched Saul to Tarsus with the situation in Antioch. You know that. Number 9, leaders are not born. I don't believe that. They earn the title by their hard work. Yeah. And sometimes, at least during our time, you just had to be a very good teacher and having exceptional results. And next you are made a boarding master, like Ambassador Simon Nabukwesi was made a boarding master. And when Khaemba left, that's the time I was arriving as a PD, we made him the principal of the school. It can happen. They earn the title by their hard work. And sometimes I talk a lot about myself. I'm not talking about myself. I am trying to exemplify some of these concepts. So at Moi University, I was a director of quality assurance. I was given the terrible job of working on the strategic plan, chairing the committee. I presented it to council in Mombasa. And 2 weeks later, they were looking for somebody to act as a DVC because the DVCs had been sent on suspension. And they said that person who was in Mombasa, that professor who was in Mombasa and was presenting the strategic plan, that's how I got the 17 calls from the chairman and became a DVC. And 21 days later, I was made acting VC. It is just hard work. So the leader must stay current on what's happening, in touch with his team, and adaptable to changes in either or both? Leadership is a never-ending challenge. This is what I would like you to learn. So we should always be careful about taking the designation of leader to ourselves. Our Lord Jesus, who could have had every title and deserved all power and authority, said, I am among you as one who serves. Luke 22:27. So nothing our Lord said about servanthood has affected me the way the parable of Luke 17:7-10 does. At the end, when we have done all the things he has commanded us, Jesus said, we should say, I'm only an unworthy servant, just doing my job. So I encourage people not to take accolades. Like these extra classes we are having, I'm only doing my job. It's my duty. My conscience tells me I must take these students in research methods to a certain level. And always remember Luke 17:7-10. At the end, when we have done all the things he has commanded us, Jesus said, we should say, I'm only an unworthy servant, just doing my duty. So we are to say those words to ourselves. We are to tame the restless yearning inside us that clamor for recognition and rewards by constantly putting it back in its place. Back, back, back. So when that ego is pushing you, when that ambition is pushing you, put it back, 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 and back. You are only an unworthy servant. You are just doing your duty. When you do that, by the way, God blesses you and you flourish from those darts and spears that will be thrown at you. So we are not to say that we are not to say that to one another. We are to give honor to whom honor is due, Romans 17:7. We are to appreciate such men, 1 Corinthians 16:18. So let the other say this about you, not yourself. Nor does God say that to us. He says, well done, good and faithful servant. Matthew 25:21-23. When all is done, our good Lord stands over you. And even if you don't hear him, you will see the rewards that come your way. And they signify this statement, well done, good and faithful servant. I am only an unworthy servant, just doing my job. If there's anything I want you to take away from this devotion, or from the fact that you met our lives crossed, is to say always, I am only an unworthy servant, just doing my duty as commanded by God. So keep saying it to yourself, friend. It's a shortcut to sanity, a cure for the ego, a simple way to please the Lord Jesus and to remain useful to him and usable by him. And that is the word of God. Let us pray. Baba, twaja mbele yako jioni ya leo, tukiwa katika hali ya unyenyekevu, hali ya kukuinamia, tukijua ya kwamba wewe ni Bwana. Mwenyezi Mungu, tunazidi kukushukuru kwa nafasi ambayo umetupa ya kuja pamoja na kuwa na kuchukua jukumu la kuendeleza haya masomo ambayo yanahusu uongozi na sheria katika ile hali ya sisi kusimama kati yako wako Mwenyezi Mungu. Zidi kutufanya wanyenyekevu, zidi kutufanya watulivu, zidi kutuwezesha kujitolea, kwa sababu hiyo ndio jukumu letu kama viongozi. Umetuambia hatuna kitu ya kufurahia ama kujiringia. Hii ni kazi yako katika dunia hii. So tunazidi kukuomba uwe nasi, uwe na darasa lote kwa jumla, na hata wale ambao wamekuja kuwa nasi katika kisomo hiki. Nasema wabariki. Nimeomba haya yote katika jina la Yesu Kristo mwokozi wetu. Amen.
Amina.
Amen.
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 Okay. Thank you very much. Maybe just a momentary comment. I want to emphasize that in Daystar we do integration of faith with the intention of reinforcing the being in you. And it's something that we do devotedly across the university. And we just keep asking God to give us the intuition and the energy to be able to influence many of our students, so that when they go out there, people will notice a difference, and that difference is because you came through this. So is there one or two comments on my message for today? One or two comments.
Good evening, Prof.
Good evening.
This is Juliet. Mine is a question.
Yes.
Based on what you've mentioned. You've talked of respect is earned. And you've given an example of there's a teacher who, when on duty, things just run. They don't need to be standing there to be seen or any other thing. How can this one happen, Prof? Because that is one of the things that have really struck me. Like, you talk about respect being earned, and these students, the teacher does not need to struggle to do anything for his or her presence to be felt, but things will just run. How does this come about?
Come to be.
Okay.
Yeah, it comes to be because you will find that if you investigate that teacher, their level of commitment to the students is immeasurable. Yeah, just the commitment they give. And so the students have come to cherish him as a fountain of hope. Particularly in the schools where there's chaos. You know, there are schools, even when the principal stands on parade, noise is going on. And he's busy saying, I've said, keep quiet. You, so and so there. You know, I can never imagine myself doing that on parade in a high school, and a school I claim to be mine. How have they lost it? Because some of the principals are strangers in their schools. They appear for parade, for flag raising. They'll make technical appearances, and they're away. Contrast that with the principal who is part of the effort. Part of the effort. He's taking classes, not to be seen to be efficient, but he's actually taking classes. Takes a Form 1 class and walks with it up to Form 4. He's with the teachers. He encourages them. It will come to be seen. Yeah. Any other comment on leadership and the sermon for today? And then we'll go to our work.
feel free, both faculty who are in, whether from Daystar or another university, students in Masters and PhD, you're free. David Mulwa, you want to say something?
Thank you, Dr. Ayiro.
That's PhD clinical psychology. Yeah.
My name is David Mulwa, clinical psychology. I just want to appreciate Prof, the message he has brought in the context of leadership. And I am really challenged that leaders who God has chosen are never seen in the crowd. The more they disappear in the crowd, I think honor and glory always goes to God. I just want to share a verse which came in my mind as he went through various points. And this is the relationship between John the Baptist and Jesus Christ, knowing very well John the Baptist was forerunner of the message of Christ. When in John 3:30 said, as far as Christ he was speaking about is concerned, he must become greater and I must become less. John never wanted to be seen anywhere, even though he spoke to the people, know he was speaking about Messiah. And I think that's the same message Prof is telling us. Let us never be counted in the front. When we diminish, God is glorified. Thank you.
Yeah. Amen. Wow, that's wonderful. And sometimes I ask, are these things too difficult for us to put into practice? The answer is no. They are not too difficult. We can actually become servant leaders. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the case studies, there's something I want to clarify. It's still troubling my mind. And I think this is what I would like to share. And this is on the problem statement. I hope, Carol, it's visible. It's a little small, but
Yes.
we'll leave it there. Is that okay?
That should be fine.
Yeah. I'm still coming back to the problem statement as I mark your chapter 1s. And I want to go through this example I gave yesterday. The central problem to be researched by the proposed study is the shortage in the nursing field. And so this has a lot to do with the current nursing shortage and the need for more nurses in the field, in the world, by the way. So there's a huge problem with this shortage and, of course, the subsequent availability of nurses. So as a basis for this study, the researcher identified the problem to be threefold. Now, I want you to read my mind. I want you to read my mind. I am saying this. You will have a point of discomfort. You'll have a point of concern. You'll have a point of pain. Or you'll have a point to say, I think there is not enough knowledge around here. I want to add some there. But before you even get into that problem, so for example, the shortage of nurses, there must be many issues around shortage of nurses. And I'm opening your mind to your own thesis. There must be a lot of issues. Or I want to call them sub-problems. And you can't do all of them. You can't do all of them, but you can do some. So if you are students and the problem is around shortage of nurses, you would be perhaps saying the first issue around shortage of nurses is that the education of new nurses is the responsibility of institutions of higher education, universities, MTs, medical training centers, polytechnics, and so on. But there's a national shortage of nursing faculty. This is a difference. These institutions like Daystar are supposed to train nurses, but Daystar has a shortage of nursing faculty. And I've just put there a citation, because these are the citations I'll want you to put in your context of the problem statement. And this shortage of nursing faculty is limiting the enrollment. It is limiting the education and the graduation of new nurses from institutions of higher learning. So a good student of research will say, this is the global problem, but what are the issues? Which issues do I want to articulate? Do I want to research around? So one of them is the shortage of nursing faculty. You know, many times people will shout, oh, we don't have enough nurses, or why government should give more budgets, without knowing it's not even budgets. You might give all the budgets, but you not have enough faculty. The second issue is that in Kenya, 85% of the nursing faculty will reach to migrate outside the country. They go away. So that's another issue. And this, alongside the existing problem that 23.9% of nursing faculty positions remain unfilled due to lack of qualified nursing educators, exacerbates the situation. So now you are asking yourself, how about these nurses who are migrating outside? Are we not just creating a worse situation in terms of having adequate nurses in the country? And then there is also the problem of existing problem of nursing faculty positions remaining unfilled. The third issue is that the nursing faculty express low job satisfaction due to complexities of the nursing educator role, making the retention and recruitment of qualified faculty difficult. So there is discontent about salaries and the current, and so in general, the current problems include a shortage of qualified nursing faculty to educate new nurses, the complexity of nursing education and migration, and the current faculty complaints of poor job satisfaction. What am I trying to say, and what is troubling me? Many of us pick a problem, but then they don't synthesize the problem. They don't digest the problem. They don't interrogate the problem to tease out the issues. Now, why am I teasing out these issues? Of course, the bigger problem is that if we go on like this, the health-related SDGs will never be attained, and the country will never achieve what do you call it? The lifespan figure that the world expects out of a progressive country. But inside that problem, there are the streams, the sub-problems, the issues that the summation of these issues are the ones that are making us not have enough nurses in the country. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am now asking you, after you've told us what the problem is, when you come to the context, can you tell us, search for studies that have talked about shortage of nursing faculty, if any. Search for studies that have talked about migration and filling positions. Search for the studies that have looked at the job satisfaction and what didn't they look at. And then now you will amplify the gap or the deficiency of your study. We must open up this box called the problem statement itself. And you can see, I could have chosen other aspects, long working hours, very few training centers, budget limits. There are many things you can talk. The social psychological impact. There are many things about nursing, but I've picked these three. These issues, these sub-problems, I'm actually developing the strands for my objectives of my study. And that is very important. It is troubling me, and I want to make sure that we are there. Look at this, the purpose statement. So I have written here, the purpose of this study is to investigate the issues affecting job satisfaction by nursing faculty members in Kakamega County in Kenya. A purpose statement must have the unit of analysis and the site for the research. So the demographics must come in your purpose statement. Interviewing and questioning nursing faculty living in Kakamega County provides insight into their personal experiences of job satisfaction while working in the nurse educator role. So the researcher has identified 3 primary objectives as the basis of this study. Ladies and gentlemen, where do our objectives come from? Our objectives will come from the sub-issues which are in this umbrella of the problem statement, and when we address them, we will be able now to propose mitigation or strategies or interventions. So the first objective is to examine the issue of job satisfaction among the nurses. The second objective is to investigate the impact of low wages on the nursing faculty. For example, I'm just giving an example. The third is to examine the complexities of the nursing faculty role. So these things are aligned. These objectives are aligned to the purpose statement, are aligned to the problem statement. And that's why I want you to listen keenly and then go and sit in your space and say, if this is my problem, what are the sub-problems? And those are the ones I'm going to plant. I'm going to craft objectives and then subsequently research questions if you are qualitative, or hypothesis if you are quantitative. So you can then, for example, if you are a qualitative researcher, You can then go on and give us the research statement in terms of research questions. So how do the nurses describe their experiences with job satisfaction? How do they describe their experiences with the impact of low wages? How do they describe their experiences with the complexities of the faculty role? I am talking about alignment. What I see in your introduction to the background of the problem, I want to see it in your problem statement under context, and then I want to see it in your objectives and subsequently your hypothesis or research questions. I am hoping that I am trying to come home because my conscience is still very troubled. And I thank God I'm going through your papers. And so I'm able to
Prof,
see. Yes?
Yes, Prof. I had raised my hand. I think you've not seen.
Yeah, go ahead. I have not seen it.
So, Prof, are these issues written as part and parcel of the introduction to the in the introduction and background, or they are written separately? Question number one. And number two, does this then mean that if I have 3 sub-issues, then the objectives should also be 3 because it emanates from the sub-issues that I'll be handling? Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, but Wekesa, in the introduction to the background of the problem, and I'm emphasizing introduction to the background of the problem. Otherwise, if you don't title that, you're going to meander all over. And as you go into that, you really, at that level, you're just giving us the bigger problem. The bigger problem is a shortage of nurses and the global impact of shortage of nurses. But as you teremuka chini to the well, to the problem statement, I want you to be able to bring this out because that constitutes the gap of your study.
So
Catherine,
this means,
yeah.
Prof,
Yeah.
Sorry for,
No,
I think I want to
just go
bring
on.
this home because what you are discussing is almost, it almost aligns to what I will be discussing. So
Yeah.
this means the sub-issues are to be discussed in the problem statement.
The sub-issues will not even be discussed. The sub-issues will be narrated as areas that have not received attention.
Under
You see,
which
in
topic?
your context, in the problem statement, the context, where you are doing all those studies, what are you going to say about those studies? You say these ones have been done, this one has been done, but in this area, these and these and these areas have not been touched. And you must wrestle with that problem statement so that I can see alignment from chapter 1 to the, from the introduction to the problem. I want to see it in the problem statement itself. Then I want to see it in your purpose and your objectives. Then I'll be at peace with myself. Let me emphasize this. This is the difference, colleagues. This is why, and I have my own ideas about this, but this is why when you get a PhD in Africa, you cannot be employed in an American university. You can't. And it, you know, they just have, somebody just has to look at your problem statement in your thesis and looks at your construction of the objectives there's no alignment, you are dismissed. Yeah. So some of us had to patch to sanitize ourselves by going for the postdoc on a Fulbright scholarship. It is not easy, but I can understand. You see, if somebody looks at like the thesis in our library today in Daystar, which cannot even produce one publishable article, it is scary. And that's why I'm going through this. I'll go through this even as I go to chapter 2, even as I go to chapter 3, until I am satisfied, until I begin to see chapter 1s that say we are different. At Daystar, we are different. We understand what this is all about. I had wanted Catherine Joker. Are you in the master's class, Catherine?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Can you take over theoretical and conceptual framework? I know there's a lecture I'm still going on, but I've just summarized this because this I must see in everybody's chapter 1. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Malimu. I'm a bit confused about that. I'm not doing my thesis at the moment. I have no context to this. I've just received the link yesterday and today. I'm only here.
Oh, no, you are not. Caro, can you help me pick for me somebody from the class?
All right. I think let me pick someone. Do you want someone to read, Prof?
Yeah, it's just reading. That's what I want.
Catherine is just reading, not that you present.
No, get somebody from the class to read.
Can
Eugene
you-
Situma. Eugene Situma, are you there?
Yes, I am, Prof.
Please save this professor the shame. Go ahead.
Thank you, Prof. Good evening, colleagues. Let's continue. Theoretical and/or conceptual framework. The theoretical or conceptual framework is defined as the practice of describing the theory used by the researcher to guide the study. The researcher's choice of a well-developed theoretical perspective is grounded in the researcher's theory of the focus of inquiry. In describing the antecedents, in describing the theoretical frameworks, the researcher attempts to provide the theoretical and empirical antecedents to some theoretical perspectives. Calabres, 2009. The theoretical framework is also called a theoretical base. However, not all dissertation committees require a separate section on theoretical frameworks in Chapter 1. Every school is different, and every school has a different policy regarding this first chapter. The theoretical framework provides the foundation for the study based on theory and the prior research. Long et al., 1985, Bryant, 2004, Calabres, 2009. See example 19.5.
Carry on.
Main key points and directions. These are the main key points that the doctoral and master's researcher should consider when developing the theoretical foundations section of Chapter 1. Find a theory or theoretical model as a basis for the study. Cite the appropriate pivotal sources for each theory or conceptual model. Discuss the basic framework of the theory or concept. Justify the theoretical foundation and framework as relevant to the study. Connect the study directly to the theory and provide a narrative of the connection. Describe how the study will add or extend the theory or model. For quantitative studies, the theory to cover all the variables. For example, use the model Use the model the survey is based on, or use the theory or model upon which the instrument is based. Build a logical argument for how the research questions are developed based on the theoretical foundation for the study. Writing length, minimum of 2 to 3 pages. Miles,
Yeah.
2022.
Okay, stop there. Thank you. Very good. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you will be required to anchor your study on works of other people that have been validated. So, Caro, I want everybody, I'm also doing it here, to Google, everybody to Google the theory of planned behavior. Everybody to Google the theory of planned behavior. Everybody. And Caro, if you get it, I'll stop sharing for a moment so that you can project the theory of planned behavior by Asgen. Theory of planned behavior by Azzen, A-J-Z-E-N. I just want, as she's doing that, I don't know if you've gotten it, but it says this, according to the theory of planned behavior, Azzen, 1991, behaviors are influenced by intentions, which are determined by 3 factors: attitudes, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control. Adjian proposed a theory of planned behavior. It is actually TPB, wherein, very good, very good. So can somebody raise their hand up and start reading that? I don't want Caro to read because she's busy doing other things.
Can I read?
Yeah, just go ahead. I can see 3 participants. Thank you. Go ahead.
The theory of planned behavior, TBB, is a psychological theory that links beliefs to behavior. The theory maintains that 3 core components, namely attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control, together emotions. In turn, a tenet of TBB is that behavioral intention is the most proximal determinant of human social behavior. The theory was elaborated by Isaac Axen for the purpose of improving the predictive power of the theory of reasoned action, in brackets, TRA. Axen's idea was to include perceived behavioral control in TBP. Perceived behavior control was not a component of TRA. TBB has been applied to studies of the relations among beliefs, attitudes, behavioral intentions, and behaviors in various human domains. These domains include, but are not limited to, advertising, public relations, advertising campaigns, healthcare, sport, consumer, household finance, and sustainability.
Yeah, we'll stop there. What are we saying in our narrative? What are we saying in our narrative? We are saying that if you're going to study, for example, leadership and performance, what drives that principle to have an attitude that raises his level of commitment and sacrifice to that school? You must look for a theory that talks about the constructs and the variables that influence the behavior towards certain aspects of management. I've just picked this as an example. In my slides, which you're going to get today, the one I started yesterday, there are many theories. I want you to go through those theories and begin to say, what is my theory? What is my theory? And what I'm emphasizing here is that you cannot undertake a study without anchoring it.
I found this on the web.
Without anchoring it into a theory. This is very, very critical. And I wish I could emphasize it even more. So people are asking, what is this theoretical framework? What do I need a theory? Do I need a theoretical framework? Do I need a model? Some of you, I'm going to give you models. Models are thoughts that are still under deep interrogation. They have not become theories, because theories means everybody in the world has come to believe in it. Some of us are going to use models, like the T.J. Thompson model in management. So you and your supervisor will have to deal with a theory and see how that theory anchors your study. Then after you have this framework, that this is what I will hold on to, you then now do the conceptualization and develop a conceptual framework which will deal with those objectives, with those variables in the objective. So if it is nurses, there was job satisfaction. There is the aspect of migration. And there is the aspect of inadequate faculty. So those then become our IVs. And we are trying to overcome the shortage of nurses. But it must be anchored. What is making these people not satisfied? What theory would you use? Is this a management issue related to budgets, related to planning, strategy? What theory would I use? Caro, can you type the chaos theory? And all of us, let us look for the chaos theory. The chaos theory. Project it. Found it? There are two aspects. One is qualitative, one is quantitative. Don't pick the mathematical one. Are you there? But let me just say this. The chaos theory explains that for complex and chaotic systems, and I've seen many of you working in that domain, there are inherent repetition, patterns, self-organization, interconnectedness, self-similarity, and constant feedback loops. So, in a very interesting way, if you're looking at systems that don't work, the chaos theory has been developed from the recognition that apparently simple physical systems which obey deterministic laws may nevertheless behave unpredictably.
Yeah, I've seen ocean turbulence.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to, all I'm trying to say, can we begin, and the articles your supervisors will give you, and I want the library to be now to come in very quick. You just indicate the articles in the area you want, and the librarians should be able to send you copies of those articles for you to use. You will begin to see theories, and you begin to engage with those theories. Please understand, and I want you to look at these key main points, why we are desirous of having a theory. It is a basis for our study. It's a basis for our study. I want to call upon Faith Hamisi or Eunice to pick up the reading here. I just want to show you how a theory is applied. Are you there, one of you? Eunice Hamisi. I mean, Eunice, Faith.
Is it from build a logical argument? Do you read from there?
No, we are back on. Is there something on the screen? Are you seeing anything?
Yeah, theoretical concept. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we are. That's what I want you to read.
Okay, the theoretical conceptual framework. That's an example, 19.5. The job stress demographic model, Miles and Adu 2014, is a theoretical framework for the proposed study. The aim of the proposed study is understanding the effects of demographic factors on job stress among Kenyan agricultural field workers. The job stress
just hold on, You're reading, and I don't think your mind is actually demarcating these things. The model here, you should Google this. Google this. Yeah. The job stress demographic model. Some of you would use this model as the theoretical framework. So you'll be asking, when do I use this? So carry on.
Okay, the job stress demographic model provided as framework for this investigation. Miles and Adu 2014 looked at relationships between demographic factors, that's gender, age, tenure, technological awareness, and marital status, and job stress among field workers working in the agricultural industry in Kericho specifically. Specifically, the researchers designed the job stress demographic model for postulating the existence of relationships between demographic factors, such as those included in Miles and Adu's 2014 study, and those included in the current study. Figure 19.1 provides a graphical representation of the job stress conceptual model used by Miles and Adu 2015.
Yeah. So can you explain this model?
Okay. So there's the demographic factors, which is the independent variable, and then of course there's that's the main variable. Then there's the job stress work overload. Then there's the job stress conflict and job stress personality types.
Yes.
So that's the job stress demographic model.
So what are these? I'm not asking Eunice. What are these? If these are the independent variables, the demographic factors, and demographic factors, we are talking about these ones. We are talking about this. These are the ones, these are the demographic factors. Gender, age, how long you've been in the job, whether you can use computers or not, or marital status. What then are these? Work overload, conflict, and types, personality types. What will those be?
Dependent variables.
Yeah, that is the dependent, isn't it?
Dependent, yeah, dependent.
Yeah, that's the outcome. That is the outcome. So this, as you look at that, this is a conceptual framework. This is a conceptual framework because you are mapping the independent variables, the stimulus, to the dependent variables, which is the response or the outcome. So this becomes a conceptual model, and we're going to look at many conceptual frameworks, as it were. I don't want to go into the statistics here. Later on, if you are with me for quantitative studies, we will then go into working for the t-value and, of course, under what strength and so on. But that's what came out. So what am I saying? In my chapter 1, very briefly, you will talk about your theoretical framework and give me a conceptual framework, which is an interplay of the variables that you're dealing with. And this when I say main key points in my book and directions, this is what you're supposed to have next to you as you write your theoretical foundations or theoretical framework. You will be looking for these notes as a point of reference. Let me look for an example of another conceptual framework. Just give me a minute. As we pause, give me a minute.
Meanwhile, if you have any question, you can be able to post it on the chat, or you can raise your voice if you have any question. I had shared there the chapter 1, the new look of chapter 1, or the upcoming, that most of you will be using your chapter 1 to write your chapter 1 outline. And I hope you're able to see, I sent there some file a little bit earlier. And based on yesterday, we know for most of you are going to use the new handbook that is coming up with some adjustments around our usual way of writing different subsections. So I think for chapter 1, I can repost again, but yesterday we did go through that so that you can just be aware of some of the new.
Yeah, okay. First of all, if you look here carefully, we have sources of conceptual framework. You cannot do, I hope everybody is seeing, you cannot do a conceptual framework without a theoretical framework. So you have to look at the theoretical framework, you have to read the literature, some studies, you have to call upon your experience that you have learned in my class in research methods, and then you can produce a conceptual framework. So wale ambao wanajidanganya ya kwamba I can just get this paper, it is not possible. No, but you'll get the paper, but you'll work for it. Which means I want you to first of all, very quickly farm up your topics. I don't want topics to keep changing for now, because I want you to begin to develop a conceptual framework, which means I want you to have identified some theory, validated with your supervisor. You'll have done some articles. Your supervisor will give you some articles in that area, and the articles, as you read those articles, they'll be talking about theoretical frameworks of the theories they're using, and then your research experience to draw a conceptual framework. I also want you to know this one. Look at this one. Conceptual framework for the influence of supervisor support on training transfer. On training transfer. Yeah, so this is conceptual framework for the influence of supervisor support on training transfer. Now I want you to look at this. Let me bring it down a bit here, yeah, so that it's a complete thing. Look at this. So what is this mentoring, coaching, task support, social support? These are what? What are these? Those are what, from what you have learned in your research course? Those constitute what?
Intervening
Just lift
variables.
up your hand. Amata, Paul.
Intervening variables.
Intervening.
Dependent variable.
Dependent.
These are the IVs. These are the independent variables. Yes. These are the ones you are going to manipulate. You can enhance mentoring, coaching, task support, social support. When you do that, what happens? You get training transfer. Yes. These ones, lived experience in transfer phenomenon, is what you're calling intervening variables. But these are your IVs, and this is your DV. This is your conceptual framework. But look, I was bringing this up deliberately. Which theories? Organizational support theory and what? Theory of what?
Planned behavior.
Yeah. Azijan. I sent you to that theory and you'll find it very, very powerful. Because all these things depend on attitude and behavior patterns. So you can manipulate this. Now, a good student is already seeing the objectives. The objectives are going to be coming out of these sub-issues. These ones, sub-issues. So objectives will not just be some amorphous statements. No. And that's why I want us to isolate, to tease out the issues, because around those issues, we shall do our conceptual framework, but we shall also have already defined our objectives. And then there is alignment. There is alignment of the introduction to the problem of the study. There's alignment with the problem statement itself. There's alignment with the objectives and or research questions, and there's alignment with the conceptual framework.
So, Prof, you have some questions coming up regarding.
Yes, I'm not seeing them on my end here, but
one of
they have lifted that.
Yeah, one of the question is that does one have to include both the theory and the model for the theoretical framework in their study? Then there's a question whether...
No, I'll answer that one first.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll answer that one first. By the way, a model is a theory that is just about to be born. Yeah. So I have no problem with the people adapting a model. You don't have to look for a long-standing theory like TPB. No, you don't have to. Yeah. Go on.
Okay, you have another question here. Whether when you're doing your framework, I think the conceptual framework, I don't know why it's getting lost. Samuel Munyenyi, I was looking for your question here. It's really hanging up. Is the theoretical framework and conceptual framework supposed to be in chapter 1 and also in chapter 2? Because what will be the difference of the discussions in chapter 1 and in chapter 2?
Good question. Let me put it this way. In Moore University, our conceptual and theoretical framework come in chapter 1. In Daystar, our theoretical and conceptual framework come in chapter 2. Me, I have no issues. And I've said it in my notes somewhere, or the ones we are reading. It depends on the school. But I don't know how you're going to start your literature review if you have not yet conceptualized the interplay between the variables of a study. And you cannot conceptualize the interplay of the variables within a study if you have not encountered if you have not had a gathering with the theories in that area. So I am going to say this at the expense of people thinking we are redundant. I would like us to be courageous to make a one-page brief on the theory that you're going to use, and then give me your conceptualization of the interplay between the variables, the independent and the dependent variables and intervening variables if they're there. And then when we go to chapter 2, we shall expound on them. And then theoretical framework might be 3, 4, 5 pages. Conceptual framework, you might have to deal with all the variables separately. So I have no problem, but I know that Kenyatta University, Nairobi University, Moi University, they have the conceptual framework in chapter 1 and the theoretical framework. Yeah.
So, Prof, what I think the new book was suggesting is that, as you said, one page of conceptual and theoretical framework or models in chapter 1, but now in chapter 2, we are calling them reviews. So you're now reviewing it in detail towards now different aspects of the study. So I think it aligns the chapter 1.
Yeah, but let us tell these people, the congregation here, this is not a congregation in Nyang'ori PAG assembly. These are intellectuals. Can you put it there? If we shall find it as being redundant, we shall migrate it to chapter 2. But me, maybe soon I'll show you my PhD from KU, and you'll see where the conceptual and theoretical framework is. But also, you'll also be delighted to know that I use the theory of planned behavior as my theory in my thesis. So,
and you have another
yeah.
question also whether
faculty, the best way to get these people mentored is for them to also see our works. And then they see, oh yes, this is what it is. I want to there's something here, this one. I want us to look at this. Purposes and sources of conceptual frameworks.
Prof, I don't know if this will, as you explain, this will also answer to this question, whether confounders must be in your conceptual framework. So probably that will, whether every conceptual framework must have confounders.
No. By the way, you're talking of those other variables.
Yeah, I think the question is big.
Yeah, but again, I don't want people to try to be too clever, too ambitious. Because if you bring in spurious variables, conniving variables, those ghost variables that walk in the night while you are asleep, they are planning how to overthrow you. Those variables, you might not be able to call around them. And if you are doing a quantitative study, then it becomes a problem. So I'm going to advise very firmly that let us just deal with independent and dependent variables, IVs and DVs. And if there are any intervening variables, there will be things like policy frameworks or church doctrine. You know, it influences what we do, but we don't have to get in to see the influence of the IVs on the outcome of the DVs.
That question was also asked by a PhD candidate, so I hope it answers both.
Okay, let's go on. I have a lot to go through, but look at this. This is work from a friend. It's not yet published, so I cannot use it freely, already do not copy and so on. Purposes and sources of conceptual framework. So what are the sources? Hey, what are the sources of conceptual frameworks? They don't come from dreaming or lying on a sofa set. They come from literature, they come from theoretical frameworks, and they come from experience in your research methods class. So just by reading the paper by Drucker on leadership, you are building your experience in leadership, and you can begin to argue on the interrelationship between variables in the area of leadership. And then once you have them from this, you'll get the conceptual framework. The conceptual framework, the variables, the interplay of the variables. And this conceptual framework allows for explanation for your study, allows for argumentation, importance of the study, appropriate and rigorous designs and methods. That's why I don't want you to go around looking for spurious variables. You want to be a night runner to chase ghosts. Then the error term will be too high in your study, and you'll be chasing what you are not supposed to chase. Explanation, key factor relations, who and what, which is derived from the purpose of the study. And then we are going to do generation. And this is the problem, the research questions, the data collection, the data analysis, the finding interpretation. I hope I'm beginning to have you appreciate what is the value of a theoretical framework and the value of a conceptual framework and how they are developed. Any questions arising here?
Just one question I've seen on the chat is whether someone can use more than one theory.
Yes, and I'll be excited. I'll be very excited. Have you seen, you saw this? You saw this. There's the organizational support theory and there's the theory of planned behavior. But this one is supportive. This one is supportive to this one. Situngoje tufike hapo. And you and your supervisor will convince yourselves. By the way, you can have 10 theories. Huh? Yeah. You can have 10 theories. It just means you'll have read more. So please bear that in mind. And I just thought I would share this so that you have a bigger picture. And when we talk about the conceptual framework, it is just the interplay of variables, but where does it come from? Where is it coming from? That's why it is almost impossible for you to conceptualize a research design without some theoretical framework. And those theories, please don't just read about the theory. Look at the methodology that is applied in that research that you're looking at in that article. It will also lead you to more literature around here so that you begin to become an authority in that area.
A question that is, Cherono, I see you raise your hand, you want to ask the question yourself?
Yes, please. Thank you, Dr. So, Prof, in the theoretical framework that you just beamed,
yes,
where it has I can see the IVs and DVs, but there are those other elements that I don't understand what they could be in the cycle. The two, the one
just
at
a
the
minute.
top. Yeah.
Well, we can. Let me see. This one?
No, the one above that has
This one.
yes, the
Yes.
lived experience of transfer phenomena, and the one below, lived experience of transfer phenomena. What would that be?
Yeah. You know, we are talking about transfer, training transfer. Somebody like this Pride of Kenya, Kipchoge, if you're going to train him, support on training transfer, he already has lived experience of the transfer phenomenon. Are you getting me? You already will have, just by reading around a subject, you'll have lived experience. You'll have to factor in with these people who are engaged with the dimensions of supervisor support. So notice that we are not, we are hoping that it will be an intervening variable, but we are very reluctant to think that we can measure it. Even transfer motivation, we are very ish about it. But all these things constitute an effective support mechanism on training transfer. So this is what we taught. We taught in research methods under variables. Yeah.
So in the explanation, do I have to say that I'll measure such kind of aspects?
You can't. You can't.
And it is allowable in research.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, Cherono, you have to, all these, you have to measure these, isn't it? You have to measure mentoring, coaching, task support, social support. Kama kuna mwingine atataka kufanya research around lived experience, umwachie.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And if you want it, then we'll push it this side and you begin to look for sub-issues in lived experience.
That's clearer. Thank you so much.
Okay, very good. All right, let's go on. So,
okay.
Are we seeing main key points?
Yeah, no, okay.
Okay. We were looking at theoretical and conceptual framework. We have gone through that. Now, this, again, I'm going to ask Daista to rethink. Hamisi, you have your hand up. Hamisi?
Prof, I was looking forward to reading. I'm sorry.
To reading? Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Please, before you start to read, I want to say something. I want to convince Daista that after I have done my introduction to the problem of the study, I've done the problem statement, I've done the purpose, I've done the objectives. The next subtitle should read assumptions, limitations, and delimitations. And then under each, you deal with assumptions, then limitations, then delimitations. I think that is one way. But before that, we'll have done rationale of the study and significance of the study. Those ones should come before assumptions, limitations, and limitation. What I'm saying is that this should be one subtitle. and then you itemize under each. Let's go, Faith.
Assumptions, limitations, and delimitations. The assumptions, limitations, and delimitations section sets the condition for the study. For example, the assumptions are what the researcher assumes about the study. The limitations are the constraints of the study based on the methodology. And the delimitations are the constraints of the study based on the population scope.
Pause. I wish we were in a classroom. I would have said repeat. 1. When I say repeat, my students in my chemistry class, they would shout, assumptions are what the researcher assumes about the study. 2, limitations are the constraints of the study based on the methodology. Limitations based on the methodology. And you can't do anything about it. And 3, the limitations are the constraints of the study based on the population scope, the boundary. Please, let's not have this come through defenses. You look extremely hopeless when you don't know the difference between a limitation and a delimitation and an assumption. So let's just what did we learn yesterday? We said if you truly want intellectual freedom, you must constrict and constrain yourself and learn these things. Then you'll have the freedom as a researcher. Carry on.
In my experience, novice researchers and doctoral students will have trouble understanding these 3 terms and their meanings. Still have, sorry. In my experience, novice researchers and doctoral students still have trouble understanding these 3 terms and their meanings.
Yes.
Establishing...
And I want you to jump to the main key points.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Main key points and directions. These are the 3 key points that the doctoral master's researcher should consider when developing. These are the main key points that the doctoral master's researcher should consider when developing the assumptions, limitations, and delimitations section of Chapter 1. 1.
Yes.
Provide a definition of the terms assumption, limitation, and delimitation at the beginning of each section. 2. State the assumptions being made in the study, methodological, theoretical, and topic specific. 3. Provide a rationale for each assumption. 4. Identify the limitation of the research method, design sampling strategy, data collection approach, instruments, and data analysis. 5. Provide a rationale for each limitation. 6. Discuss any associated consequences of the generalizability and applicability of the findings. 7. Identify the delimitations of the research design and any associated consequences for the generalizability and applicability of the findings. 8. Provide a rationale for each delimitation. And 9. Writing length, minimum of 2 to 3 paragraphs for each page. Miles 2022.
So,
again,
yeah, just finish that.
Thank you, Prof. Again, by following these key points, the researcher can fully develop the assumptions, limitations, and delimitations section of the study.
All right.
See examples 19.6, 19.7, and 19.8.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. That's very beautiful reading. Why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because we are closing chapter 1. And these are the aspects that must be seen in chapter 1. So I would like to request Judy Maina. If Judy Maina is not available, Leah Ongaya, to pick up the
Yes,
reading.
Prof. I'm in, Prof.
Okay.
Thank you. Limitations. In many years of work with doctoral stroke master students.
Is that so?
Sorry for that.
Mm.
Okay. I begin from discuss.
No.
Pardon?
Just where you began, but please read what is written. Huh?
Yes.
All right. Oh, sorry. Sorry for that, Prof. Let me start afresh. Limitations. In my many years of work with doctoral stroke master students, I have found that there is still a prevailing confusion between the terms limitation and delimitation. I have seen this to be the case with both experienced researchers and novice researchers. Limitations are defined as limitations are defined as constraints on the study based on the research methodology and research design, Miles and Scott, 2017. Limitations are things the researcher cannot control because they are constraints inherent in the research methodology. See table 19.4 and example 19.6.
Yeah, and I just look at this table. I don't want us to read through it. Maybe we should. Go ahead.
All right. Table 19.4, examples of limitations. The first column, common quantitative limitations. And then we have common qualitative limitations. In common quantitative limitations, we have research methodology. On the other hand, we have research methodology. We have research design, in brackets type. On the other side, we have research design and brackets type, use of self-reported data, in brackets survey, use of self-reported data, in brackets interviews, time constraints, in brackets time to collect data, time constraints, in brackets time to interview subjects, length of survey instrument, length of studies interview, time with participants, design of survey instrument, design of interview questions, sampling design, in brackets we have random, stratified, or clustering, systematic, convenience. Sampling design, in brackets we have purposive, quota, and snowball, non-probability sampling based, sampling bias, target population constraints. Target population constraints, data collection modality type, survey question types, in brackets closed-ended, interview question types, in brackets, open-ended. And finally, survey bias. On the other hand, we have researcher bias.
Yeah. And my prayer, my delicate prayer is that as we look at common quantitative limitations, we are reflecting on what we have done. Because if a study is quantitative, you do sampling, you survey, you use large populations, you have an instrument called a questionnaire. If a research is qualitative, the researcher is part of the instrument for data collection. You do interviews, you have restricted populations, and the sampling is not random like in quantitative. The sampling is purposive, quote and snowball. Just by looking at the word purposive, I know that there's a lot of bias. The error will be very high. And then the length of the study is interview time compared to the other side. Use of self-reported data interviews, use of self-reported data surveys. So apart from seeing where limitations will come from, I want you to note that we are actually revising what we have done from the time we met, right from research methodology, the designs, the sampling, the data collection, and the tools for data collection. And it is in these methodologies that we will have errors that will cause limitations to the validity of our findings. So those are limitations. Limitations are attributed to the methodology and design of the process. That's all I'm emphasizing. And so when you're writing for me, your chapter 1 and you're talking about limitations, this is what I want you to tell me. What do you think is your limitation? What is the cause of your limitation? And you should be able to justify. Remember what we have said here. You must justify this one. Provide a rationale for each delimitation or limitation. Read this last one.
Okay. Researcher misinterpretation of participant data from surveys. Researcher misinterpretation of participant data from interviews.
Yeah. So I hope it is solidly planted in your mind that when you are a quantitative researcher, you will have open-ended interviews. When you are a qualitative researcher, you will have questionnaires, closed-ended questionnaires, and what we are calling surveys. And any misinterpretation will be a limitation. I've seen somebody's hand up. Pick it up.
Thank you, Cindy, and we have other questions on the chat.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Prof. Mine is just to ask for clarification based on the assumptions. I've seen that we have two columns that is quantitative.
I can't hear properly. Can we mute?
Yeah, I was saying that just a clarification. I've seen that when you're writing assumptions, we have a column for quantitative and qualitative. What about when you are using mixed methods? How do you write the assumptions?
It's both. It's both, but I'm glad you're thinking. Yeah, that's good thinking. But it is both. Yeah. So all these limitations, I hope you're talking about limitations, will occur across in your study. And that's why many people sometimes find mixed methods very tedious. Because instead of just worrying about these limitations here, you're walking across. Carry on, finish for us, the reader.
Okay, Prof. Example 19.6, limitations of the study. Limitations are comprised of the restrictions implemented by the researcher's choice of methodology. These are factors in the study that cannot be controlled by the researcher. As a basis for the study, the limitations were threefold. The first limitation in this study is the instrumentation. This study used an instrument that was closed and did not have open-ended questions. Kindly scroll up, Prof.
Okay. Is that okay?
Not yet. I'm seeing the second limitation.
They're okay.
Okay.
The second limitation is, you're right, it's data collection. You just read the first one.
Okay. The second limitation is the data collection. This study used aggregated data that was, I'm not seeing the next
surprising.
line.
That should be your gadget. The document is very good. It's okay.
Can somebody help her?
Maybe somebody can help me. I'm using my phone.
I can't see too. I think it's
no,
Are you
allow me to read.
Yes, Jen Kanyari, read for us. Jen Kanyari.
Okay, Prof,
please start over.
Let me help her because I can see.
Yeah.
Example 19.6, limitations of the study. Limitations are comprised of the restrictions implemented by the researcher's choice of methodology. These are factors in the study that cannot be controlled by the researcher. As a basis for the study, the limitations were threefold. The first limitation in this study is the instrumentation. This study used an instrument that was closed and did not have open-ended questions. The second limitation is the data collection. This study used aggregated data that was collected from the county in a publicly accessible medium, and this is limited in descriptive statistics. The last limitation was the course. Teen leadership is one of several different character education opportunities offered throughout the county. Further investigation into other programs may offer different insights. ZEIG 2019.
And I hope, being PhD and master students, I am giving you model narratives that you'll put under the limitation of your study. I hope you are seeing that. We didn't go through the study, but I'm just giving you how you would package your limitations of the study. Just remember, it's around methodology and design. So if you're using questionnaires, that is a limitation, because then you don't get the expert views if you had open-ended questions. The way you're collecting data will not allow us to do statistics beyond descriptive statistics, and so on and so forth. So you'll be expected to tell us the limitation, but also to tell us how you're going to overcome that limitation. I want to plead that we move a little faster because of where are my gentlemen? I'm not seeing them on my list. Where are the men in this class? I'm not seeing. Michael Mwanza, are you in our class? Desmond,
yes,
are
bro.
you in class?
Yes, bro, I'm in class.
Yeah, can you take us to the limitations / scope of the study? And here, before you start reading, before you start reading, delimitation equal to scope. So I don't want to see scope, then delimitation. So normally you see limitation and delimitation, then after that you see somebody talking about the scope. Are you ready?
Yes, I can read, Prof, but my problem, I'm using the phone. There are some words I'm not seeing at the end.
Yeah.
I can
Desmond,
see the delimitation are defined as
no, it's
constraints on
okay.
your study.
It's okay,
Yes.
but it is not acceptable for anybody doing a master's or a PhD in data not to have a laptop. It is not acceptable. Already you are telling God, me, I'm just haphazard. Yeah. It is not acceptable. Laptops now, reconditioned laptops are affordable. And I want to pause there. Please write this anecdote before we go. It's good he came in with that. Connection happens at the nexus of truth, happens at the nexus of truth and love. Full stop. If I love you, I have to tell you the truth. So connection happens at the nexus of truth and love. Full stop. Truth without love is harshness. Full stop. Truth without love is harshness. Full stop. Love without truth is sentimentality. Full stop. But if you can be completely honest with somebody, continue writing. But if you can be completely honest with somebody in the context of loving support, but if you can be completely honest with somebody in the context of loving support, then you have a trusting relationship. A trusting relationship. Full stop. Norms are enforced as people hold one another. Norms are enforced as people hold one another accountable for violating them. For violating them. Full stop. Community and here community, can you put brackets? Master's stroke PhD research students. Community, this is our community. Brackets, master's stroke PhD students is woven through, this is in italics, love hyphen drenched accountability. So this community is woven through love drenched accountability. So that's the first anecdote for today, but it is such a valuable anecdote. And I'm happy the gentleman was honest to say he doesn't have a laptop. So I'm out of love, I'm just being honest, very honest, because I want all of you to succeed. It's out of love. And remember, love without truth is sentimentality. Tuko sawa sawa tu. We are okay. In Kiluya koweza urai. Hakuna shida. Tuko sawa.
Prof,
Hata
I'm
hii
here and I'm here and I
hata
have a
hii
laptop.
I hope so. Hata hii mobile inafanya tu. Tuko sawa. No. No. So I want Othello to read me what we have just said.
Prof, I thought you had asked Desmond to read.
Oh, okay, Desmond. Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Read for
And
us.
I have
Desmond.
at least
And I hope you have a
truth and
laptop.
love.
Okay, go ahead.
Our love is
Okay.
mutual.
Okay. Go on.
The
Yeah.
limitations stroke scope of the study.
Mm.
The limitations are
No.
defined as
Before this one, Desmond, I want you to read what we have just handwritten.
okay.
We are like Shakespeare. We write with our hands also. Handwritten before, and then we go to the limitation.
Okay. Connection happens at the nexus of truth and love. Truth without love is harshness. Love without truth is sentimentality. But if you can completely be honest with somebody on the context of loving support, then you have a trusting relationship. Norms are enforced as people hold one another questionable for violating them. Community, that is masters and PhD students in our case, is woven through love and love entrenched and accountability.
No. The last sentence. Community is
Love
woven through
love, in quotation, love hyphen entrenched accountability.
No. Love drenched.
Love
Accountability.
drenched.
Drenched accountability.
Drenched accountability is so like it has been rained on.
Yeah, like not even like after an accident and somebody's bleeding. Yeah.
It's soaked. It's soaked in love. Yes.
Yeah. You know, love drenched accountability. Why am I not finishing my chapter 1? I mean, I care for my professor. I care for myself. We are in this together. That's what we're talking about. Love drenched accountability. Okay, Desmond, let's go to the limitations stroke scope of the study.
The limitations stroke scope of the study. The limitations are defined as constraint on your study based on the population scope. That's Miles and Scott 2017. Think of the limitations as the boundaries of your study. The limitations are defined as chiefly concerned with the scope of the study. Again, another recurring problem that doctoral and master's students have is misunderstanding the true meaning of a delimitation. This is confusing to them because of the generic definition of a delimitation, the characteristics of a study in which the researcher can control the delimitations. When you write about delimitations, the sentence should always begin as follows. This study was limited to. You have to set the parameters of your study so that you cannot say your results are generalizable to other areas of the country or other studies with dissimilar results. You want to start off with 4 categories, from the unit of analysis to the state of the data collection.
Okay, let's go to the overall statement.
Overall statement. This study had some delimitations that restricted the study. The researcher identified 4 delimitations concerning the scope of this study. The study was delimited by certain conditions that were identified for this research inquiry. Delimitation
Okay.
1.
Just a minute, let me take it down so that we can see it as a, yeah, okay, there we are.
Delimitation 1. First, the study was delimited to domestic violence victims, DVV, as the unit of analysis. Delimitation 2. Second, the study was delimited to the Kisumu city in Kenya. That is the metropolitan city. Delimitation 3. Third, the study was delimited to the surrounding counties of the Lake Region area. That is, surrounding counties and non-city areas. And delimitation 4, lastly, the study was delimited to the county of Kisumu.
So, thank you. Very good reading, Desmond. The delimitation relates to the demographics. And you will have to tell me why the study was delimited to that specific area. So you must justify. Remember what we said up there again? We said provide a rationale for each delimitation. So you must provide a rationale for each delimitation. Why Kisumu? Why the city? Why the surrounding counties? And so go back to your study and ask yourself, where will this be? So those of us who have been telling me it will be in Wajir, it will be in Busia, it will be in Mombasa. I want the reasons why. That is a delimitation. But the limitation has nothing to do with the demographics. The limitation actually deals with the validity and reliability of your findings because it is related to the methodology and the design. Just the type of instrumentation, the way you collect data, the sampling of the population, those are the sources of limitations in your study, and you'll have to try and overcome them. Finally, so that we can go to case studies, at least do some assumptions. Assumptions. Obadiah, are you online? Bahizire.
Bahizire is en route to Rwanda, so he may not be able to speak, but he's in class though, in the air.
Okay. I'm not biased against the visiting students, is because I'm not sure whether you have a laptop. I don't know whether you have developed the culture that we espouse, but I hope you are learning something. Sam Nyabera, are you there? Because you're supposed to have been there today.
I'm there, Prof.
Yeah, please pick assumptions.
Very well. Assumptions. Assumptions can be defined as things that are somewhat out of your control, but if they disappeared, your study would become irrelevant. Hubbard, 1973, Simon, 2011, Simon and Goss, 2013. Another definition of an assumption is an unexamined belief that the researcher brings to the study and that is accepted as being valid. Bryant, 2004. General types of assumptions. When considering the assumptions, the researcher should list the major assumptions underlying the study. Here are some general types of assumptions. 1, behavior is characterized by some degree of consistency. 2, the behavior of interest is observable and properly measured. 3, all individuals in a group benefit equally from a group treatment. 4, subjects have the ability to report their perceptions accurately. 5, the time allotted for the treatment is adequate to produce the desired effects. 6, all the important variables influencing the dependent variable have been controlled or explicitly included in the design. 7, student achievement is a function of both in-school and out-of-school factors. Long et al. 1985.
Yeah, that's for the example. But let me just pause a little. When we say behavior is characterized by some degree of consistency, you are assuming that you will get the veracity of the reportings from the respondents can be ascertained, and that it will be consistent. So you expect some type of truthfulness, some type of consistency as they respond to your interview or to your questionnaire. The other assumption is that the behavior of interest is observable and properly measured. So if it is learning in the classroom, those of you who will be doing instructional leadership, you can observe and you can measure learning based on the results that the students are scoring. All individuals in a group benefit equally from a group treatment. So when I go into a class, I presume that these students have been exposed to the same type of treatment, if it is instruction, if it is evaluation, if it is discussion. We also assume that the subjects have the ability to report their perceptions accurately. Hopefully they will understand when you tell them which is the most difficult subject, you're not asking them to tell you who is the most difficult teacher. Yeah. So it is very important, and I like this one. All the important variables influencing the dependent variable have been controlled or explicitly included in the design. Otherwise, you won't get the results, because the dependent variable is influenced by those other variables, the IVs. So those are the assumptions. Please carry on as you finish for us that.
Example 19.8, assumptions of the study. The school subcountry, that is the foundation.
Sub-county, should be sub-county.
Yeah, should be sub-county, okay. The school sub-county, that is the foundation of this study, has a variety of races, which is represented in the teaching pool. Though there are more non-performing arts teachers than performing arts teachers in the school sub-county, there should be a good representation as far as the data is concerned. The following assumptions are present in this study. 1, it is assumed that the participants in this study will answer the survey as honestly as possible. 2, it's assumed that the participants will be mentally capable of answering and completing the survey. 3, it is assumed that the participants have the background and experience to answer the complete survey, I think. Sorry, experience to answer and complete the survey. It's assumed that the participants are employed as teachers in the JSS school system in the area where the study is being conducted, Jefferson 2021.
Yeah. So I hope you are seeing the assumptions. And so for me, like, how would I overcome these assumptions? How would I not overcome? How would I make these assumptions hold true? I would have a questionnaire for the head of department or the director of academic studies or the principal, and triangulate what I'm being told by these teachers. So triangulation is a way of really making your assumptions hold true. Otherwise, you will submit at the end of the thesis that this assumption was not true, did not hold. And what are the effects on the study? Ladies and gentlemen, my heart told me that we needed to go through this. We needed to go through this aspect of assumptions of the study to get to where we want to go. So I now know that you can confidently write your chapter 1. The only thing that is remaining, and because of time, I am not sure whether I'll be able to finish it off, is the rationale of the study and the significance of the study. It's quite a long section. So what I will do is I will send the notes for you to go through them, because it is very important that you understand the significance of the study and the rationale of the study. Failure to do that, again, we will have a problem with the validity of our findings. So I don't know whether maybe I should just get a reader to do the first part. We might not look at the example.
Prof, just before you move out of the assumption, someone has asked whether they're supposed to cite assumptions the way you have cited number 4 on the list. And I think number 4 has a citation. Maybe that's the question.
Yeah. Hey, this you are now writing your chapter 1. And those are the things that will make you strong. Huh? Those are the things that will make you strong. Citations, yes. Yes, you remove the burden from yourself. You say this is by this authority.
All right. And then
okay.
Someone asked whether delimitation based on I think this was Boaz. Boaz, I don't know, your question you might be clear if you ask yourself, Wakili.
Oh, sorry. I think, sorry for making my notes there. I was just taking some short notes because I think when Prof was talking, the delimitations, and of course I was reflecting back with the scope as he had explained yesterday. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Leah Ongaya, are you ready? Thank you. Leah Ongaya.
Yes, Prof, I'm online.
Okay, can you read for us very quickly significance halfway? We not look at the example. People can read the example later on.
You want to cover it, Prof? You're still on the assumptions?
Oh, okay. Let me see. Significance. Is it there?
Yeah.
Yes, Prof.
Okay. Because you must do this section of significance and rationale. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Significance is an explanation of why the proposed study is important and why it represents a potential contribution to the field. Its emphasis should be on why the study is worthwhile, Webster 1998b. The significance of the study is your argument as to why the study makes a significant and original contribution to the profession, the scholarly literature, and your discipline. The significance of a study answers questions related to why the topic is worth studying. Calabrese, 2006. The significance of a study describes why the study is important. There are three types of significance of a study: A, theoretical significance, B, practical significance, and C, research significance. Of the three types of significance, the researcher provides arguments for theoretical contributions that should be developed from the literature. Long et al., 1985, Miles and Scott, 2017. Main key points and directions. These are the main key points that the doctoral/master's researcher should consider when developing the significance of the study. The significance of the study section of chapter 1. Bullet 1, describe how the research fits with, describe how the research fits with and will contribute to or advance the current literature, body of research or body of knowledge. Describe the significance of the study, in brackets, theoretical, practical, or research. Describe the contributions of the study, in brackets, theoretical, conceptual, empirical, or methodological. See chapter 12 for more on this. Describe the potential practical applications of the research. Identify the theories or models that provide the theoretical foundations or conceptual frameworks for the study. Connect the study directly to the theory and describe how the study will add or extend the theory or model. Describe how addressing the problem will add value to the population, community, or society. Writing length, minimum of 1 to 2 pages. Miles, 2022.
Yeah. Significance of the study. Why are we doing it? What are the benefits? This is very, very important. That's why just think about it. Who comes first? Is it the delimitation, assumptions, delimitation and limitations, or significance of the study? So as you purpose to craft your chapter 1, you should know where that comes from. And I've given you an example. You look through it. Maybe the last one, and this is the most difficult, contributions of your study. You must tell us a key contribution, an empirical contribution to the body of knowledge into your chapter 1. Then we will be home and dry. This you read on your own, but contribution is also very, very important. Any questions? Now I'm happy I've closed the chapter 1. What is supposed to appear in chapter 1? Any questions? Yes, I want to, the visiting students, so long as we have your emails, everybody will get these notes. They'll be sent to you. So make sure you submit your email to the directorate and the coordinator. Yes, 2 participants, hands are up. Yes. Juliet Otieno and Othello, let's go in that order.
Okay, I read, Prof.
Yes.
Okay, so significance of the study.
You want? No, we've done significant. You want to?
Okay.
No. I thought you wanted to comment on contribution of the study, but it's okay. Othello?
Yes, Prof. Mine is just a brief one. Can the significance of the study come after your objectives, before limitations and delimitations?
After your
objectives.
That's okay. That's okay. I have no problem, but just think about it, your sequence. Would you do significance and contribution, and then do assumptions, limitations, and delimitations? Let's not spend too much energy there, but just convince yourself that the flow is logical. I have not mentioned operational definitions. I presume you will operationalize the variables of your study, but that we as your supervisors will help you as we go along. All right, Caro, pandisha kazi ya Nyabera Samu.
Okay, so we'll start up with Sam. Sam, hope you are doing well in wherever you are and ready for the presentation.
There's Isaac Owino. Isaac, use your hand up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Prof.
Yes.
I just wanted to find out. I've seen some places you are asked, what is the philosophy of your study? Can we include such a thing?
Philosophy.
Chapter 1.
Philosophy.
Yes, the philosophy
Will
behind
come,
yes,
philosophy will
the
come in
philosophy
chapter
behind
3.
your study.
It will come in chapter 3. Chapter 3. Because the philosophical underpinnings are actually what defines the methodology. Yeah. So we'll do it. We'll do it in chapter 3. When I'm covering chapter 3, all of us must be able to tell us whether you are a positivist or a pragmatist or an interpretivist, whichever. Yeah, so we'll cover it there. Don't let that not worry you for now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good. Okay, Caro. I can see Nyabera is ready. Do you have his work?
I do
And
have
please, let's
some.
be patient. Let's be patient, all of us. There's a lot we are learning. There's a lot we shall learn from these case studies. Let's see how many we can do tonight. But I took a lot of time because those gaps in theory were worrying me a lot.
Yeah, I think Prof. I mean, I think today's area really covers so well around chapter 1, and I'm sure many of those who are coming from other different fields and levels will appreciate this. So I want to introduce Sam is actually a Masters of Education and Leadership student. Please take it on, Sam.
Sorry, I missed yesterday's lesson, and I'm not really sure how Prof would like me to present this. Prof, could you guide me on how to go about?
Yeah, first of all, talk to us about your topic, and then leave the rest to me because I've marked your work. So I'll be giving you my feedback.
Very well. Like you challenged us. I focused my topic on something that is painful to me as a person. Having worked for a few years now, I have been in situations where leadership succession planning has been a serious issue. I was working in a school somewhere in Nairobi some time ago, and we were actually being very progressive. But at some point, the board of governors of that school decided to scrap the leadership structures that were in place then and brought back someone from retirement. This really touched me because I was worried. What would they have done if the person who was in retirement was actually not alive? And was that change necessary because the then leaders were actually not doing a good job, or what was the motivation? And it from that time it occurred to me that it's actually a failure on leadership if the leaders themselves don't plan their exit. And I wanted to ask you, Prof, a question. Are you planning for your exit from Daystar?
Yeah.
And if you are, how are you doing it?
Yeah.
So when you think about it, many times we have leaders who think they are immortal, or they think they cannot be replaced. And sadly, nature would have it at some point, you have to exit. And you would have failed. It doesn't matter what legacy you have. You would have failed if you don't leave an institution you are leading in safe hands. So I feel that this is an area that we need to provide more information, more knowledge around. So that was the basis of my topic.
Okay. That's interesting, and I agree. Do I have a succession plan? I think so. We are conversing with the council and other structures to know what happens, and we hope to undertake our transition midstream in 2.5 years. We should be knowing, like what Strathmore did. Strathmore, my brother there now, was under mentorship for 1.5 years. So they managed to have a very smooth transition as they ended, as the previous vice chancellor ended their tenure. But yeah, it will be interesting. There are many dynamics. There are many dynamics in this matter, and that's why we are in this class to bring them up. So first of all, on the topic, I don't know why I'm not seeing. Why am I not seeing that work? And I saw it, then it disappeared. I'm not seeing the screen of your work, but yeah. Oh yeah, thank you. I want to say this first of all, and everybody should really try to get it here. Leadership succession planning in institutions of higher learning in Kenya. And we did vet this topic. And I can see it was actually 12 words or 13 words thereabout. But Nyabera, I have decided that we put a question mark. So instead of saying myth and reality, we say myth or reality. Yeah, myth or reality. Is there anything like succession planning, like in government? Isn't it a myth to plan succession on who will become the vice chancellor of Nairobi University when everything is specified? After 5 years, you go, then we advertise, then public service, then what. So I'll be interested. Now, the other one is your background to the study. We have changed that. And it's not background to the study, no. I am hoping that we can get this straight once and for all, because if we don't, we are going to have a lot of problems moving forward as a class. And we said we are now not going to talk about just background to the study, and everybody should be listening. We shall be talking about introduction to the problem of the study, or introduction to the background of the problem of the study. Carol, which words did we use exactly?
We used, I'd shared that a little bit earlier. We used just a little bit, introduction and background of the problem.
Yeah. So, Nyabera, introduction
and background of the
and
problem.
background of the problem, so that you restrict yourself to that. I also, we have given notes on what should be in the background. You are not here yesterday. We have given guidelines on what should actually appear in that background. So you are not all over the place. We want you to be very clear on what you're going to put in your background. Even prescribing the number of citations that should come in your background. So that is covered. You'll have to look out for that. Now, if somebody can scroll for me the document, obviously your background needs a lot of panel beating, because the whole of page 1 of your background has only one citation. Ali and Mehrem 2019. We expect 5 plus 4. We expect a minimum of 10 citations. And if you look at the notes, Caro, did you circulate that piece of notes we gave on the background? If not, we need to send it out to every student so that they can use it. Okay, you have to send that. What should be in the background? Going to your problem statement. Go to your problem statement, Nyabera, and read us your first paragraph.
Very well. Problem statement. There are criticisms of how various studies have generally portrayed the subject, despite the literature on human resource management acknowledging the need of leadership succession planning becoming more and more apparent. First, the concept of leadership succession planning has been defined by a number of academics. However, as the field of leadership succession planning research has developed, gaps and differences have emerged in the concept, framework, and morals of the concept. Addison 2020. Secondly, a lot of research has been done in the literature on the connection between organizational transition and leadership as succession planning, early 2019.
Go on.
Studies that directly correlate leadership succession planning models, organizational transition, retaining talent in the leadership, and leadership development strategy are, however, lacking. Furthermore, there is a dearth of strong agreement in the literature regarding the common frameworks for leadership succession planning that affect the seamless transition of organizations. Research examining the relationship between organizational transition, intentions, and leadership succession planning has produced a range of findings. While some studies find a negative connection of the same constructs, others suggest a favorable association between the two. These differences should be resolved in order to synthesize the success of earlier research and to draw from a variety of sources that can help reconcile contradictory findings. More 2020.
Pause. First of all, you are fond of these various studies, and you don't tell us where they are. Literature on the connection between organizational transition. You mentioned Ali, but you're talking of literature. Studies that directly correlate. You don't tell us which those studies are. But what is perplexing me is that which is your study? Are you going to study the difference, the resolving of differences in order to synthesize the success of earlier research and to draw from a variety of sources? I am not seeing your gap of the study. And then Down the line, you say the literature does not establish a causal relationship between leadership success planning and the existence of literature and organizational. Again, is this your gap? So I have not seen the problem, and you really have to work hard to bring up the problem. And what that taught me is run to your purpose of the study. That's why you're struggling. If you go to the purpose of your study, and you're saying under purpose, the study intends to advance knowledge on the leadership succession planning concept by examining the relationship between. That's not the purpose of a study. Remember, the purpose of a study is still carrying the problem. It is giving us the audience. And it is also indicating the sub-problems, the issues that exist. So I had big issues with that. Look at your objectives. Objective number 1. Examine the challenges faced by institutions of higher learning in leadership succession planning. Think about it. How are you going to examine the challenges faced by institutions of higher learning? Everywhere you go, you'll find a vice chancellor. So if you're going to do anything, for example, it will be in retrospect. You're going to do introspection. How would you do that? Determine the effect of succession planning on continuity and stability. So where would you determine the effect of succession planning? Or are you going to look at the effect of failed succession planning to see the impact on that? Then you quickly go to propose strategies. I think you need to very carefully look at my notes on what a background should constitute. Look at my notes on what I have just said today, that within your problem statement, you must begin to bring us sub-problems or issues, and those will constitute the objectives of the study. So those objectives are not aligned to the problem statement, and yet, Nyabera, I clear this topic because it is researchable. It is an area we need to contribute in succession planning and try to bring arguments whether this is a myth or a reality. And if it is a myth, how do we turn it into a reality? So it's a very interesting study. I think it's a good attempt you have put down. I remember what I said, you are not there. In one of my anecdotes, I said, write for me the most awful document. Let us work on it 10 times, 20 times. That is how you begin to work on your dissertation. So those will be my comments on that. And I would like to quickly see a background, an introduction to the problem of the study, and then a problem statement that clearly tells me this is the problem, the visibility in the context, bring out the sub-issues, then give us the objectives, and we'll be home and dry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Faith. Yeah, Faith.
Yes, Prof.
Mounted. Yeah. Caro, do you have a paper?
Faith, you're ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Well, Prof, I've seen so many emails being sent. I'll be very honest that to have all those emails might be a challenge for me. For for all the students here.
I thought we were dealing with the ones.
Yeah.
Magdalene.
So, but we have a YouTube. I've given a YouTube just in case anybody will also want to follow up. They can be able to go through your recordings on the YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that Faith? Where is
Okay.
the document? Okay. I was wondering. Faith, is that
Okay.
your document?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
How many pages is this document? The one I have.
4.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, Prof, I must admit that according to what we learned yesterday's class and even today, my problem to the problem to the study, it's out of place. You only have just one paragraph, and you said that you need 2 to 3 at a minimum of 1 page, which I don't have. Again, I can say that I don't know. I know that I'm going to do much because I think I did do what is expected. Then I'm going to go through it. Effect of leadership styles on school wellness in high schools in Kenya. Background, introduction and background to the problem of the study, which I'm going to correct. The intricate dynamics of leadership within educational settings have garnered significant attention in contemporary educational research. That is Asuga et al. 2015, Emudike 2014, Okoko 2020. Highlighting its pivotal role in shaping the academic and social emotional landscape of schools. This thesis delves into the relationship between leadership styles of school administrators and their consequential impacts on school culture and student performance in Kenyan secondary schools. The investigation is rooted in the premise that leadership is not a one-size-fits-all approach, but a multifaceted spectrum that influences various aspects of the educational environment. Kenyan secondary schools, characterized by diverse educational needs and challenges, Hadoyo and Odenyi 2015, there's Akinya and Ezekiel 2015, provide a compelling context for examining the effects of leadership styles. These schools are at the front line of implementing the Kenyan government educational policies aimed at improving access, equity, quality, and relevance in education as outlined in Kenya Vision 2030 and the Education Sector Plan. Amid this initiative, the role of effective leadership becomes paramount in navigating the complexities of educational reforms and achieving desired academic outcomes.
Okay, pause. I've read this work, and the problem is you are truly doing the background of the study. You are not doing the background to the problem of the study.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of materials that you're giving us is about leadership styles and school wellness, but it is not about the problem, because I'm looking for the problem. Secondly, and I'm advising everybody, topics like leadership styles are too wide. I mean, what are you going to later on in this? That's what I'm saying. You're giving us a background to the study. You're talking about democratic approaches, transformational, transactional. I'm sure there's somewhere laissez-faire, all those things don't constitute a very incisive and focused study. So I going down the line, we would be still just looking at the history of the study. But me, I want us to narrow this to introduction and background of the problem of this study. When you go to your problem statement, just look at your problem statement. I'm surprised because the problem statement about leadership style and school wellness will start with instability in institutions. That's the problem. Why are you worried? How do you create wellness? Why do you think there's no wellness? You have to tell us. You have to give us the visibility of the fact that things are not right in our schools. So I expect statistics on instability and even studies, yes, that are going on. Otherwise, you're still talking about leadership styles, but that is not the problem. It is the effect of leadership styles on school wellness. So we would like to see the manifestation of the problem. Then I want to know the problem. Then under the problem, I want you to tease out the sub-problems, already trying to form an architecture of what your objectives will look like.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's so the problem statement is out. You see, look at the objectives, and the objectives actually reveal the nakedness of a researcher. You see, to identify prevalent leadership styles among school administrators. What do you mean? What is it? The prevalent leadership styles among school administrators in Kenya. So that is research. When we go and find they are democratic or they are laissez-faire or they are transformational, I thought there are certain segments you're looking for here. And those segments, I must have encountered them in your problem statement through studies that you have done, and you're saying this aspect is not covered. Then we bring them here as objectives.
Okay.
I've given you what a purpose of the study should be. So I would like you to work on that. I am glad you are working on references, even if they're not wholly 7th edition APA, but the fact that they're there is the mind of a good researcher. I looked at the topic and I wanted to advise, just say leadership approaches. Let us not say effect. Let us write
leadership
approaches.
Okay.
Yes, on school wellness. Leadership approaches on school wellness in selected high schools in Kenya.
Okay.
In selected high schools in Kenya. And we shall put that in the delimitation, which are these high schools, isn't it?
Okay.
Why I'm saying selected, I would like us to take, this was my thinking, I would like us to take the top high schools in every county. Those are just 47. The top high school in every county. And then look at principals in what we are calling CDF schools. Then we can look at the leadership approaches and how they contribute to the wellness. So for me, the most attractive thing about this study is the sample we want to use.
Okay.
Yeah. Very good.
Yes.
And now everybody online, you are not waiting. This is your chapter 1. Why don't you begin to populate the significance of your study, the assumptions, the limitations, operational definitions, theoretical framework, conceptual framework. Begin to work on them, all of them, so that you are actually beginning to have a crude draft 0 of your chapter 1. That's what I'm looking forward to. Excited to see that done. Monica Wakoli, very quickly. We can do Monica, we can do, and since Obadiah is not there, we can do Monica and somebody else. Yeah. I'm going to suggest something radical about tomorrow, because I want everybody to have a feel of what chapter 1 is all about. Caro, umeipata? She's called Teresa Monica Wakoli.
Monica's, and as I do that, Prof, I have actually done a template for them to start populating their chapter 1, which I've shared with them in the whole class, with the whole class.
Very good. Monica, take it over.
Okay, thank you, Prof. So my topic is based on the JSS learning, and basically it's styling in primary schools. Since I'm a JSS teacher, my problem is we are experiencing a lot of challenges in implementing the curriculum since we don't have enough resources.
Monica, I don't know if it is only me, but you look like
I can't hear. I'm not able to hear.
Okay, am I audible enough now?
Yeah, but you're breaking.
Could this be? It could be my network, but I don't know if I can continue.
Continue. If you break, then we'll have to drop you.
Okay, thank you. I'm okay. Just on domiciling of senior secondary school in primary schools and how it is affecting delivery.
Monica, I don't know whether you would want, first of all, to establish good internet so that you can, because it slows down.
I can't hear the candidate, and it's important we communicate.
Okay. Let me try and establish my network.
No, you're fine where you are. If you can speak from where you are.
Right now?
Yes.
Okay. So let me continue. So my topic is about domiciling of JSS in primary schools and the challenges it is bringing to quality of education that as teachers are giving to the learners. And I'm talking about challenges ranging from lack of infrastructure, proper infrastructure, that is the ICT facility.
You are explaining, and we should be able to understand because you are explaining. When you explain, then we cannot be able to know what you wrote because you're trying to explain to us. Would you want just to go through the work?
Should I just read?
No.
Should I just?
No. I want you to. By the way, these presentations, by now you should be able to say, this is my topic to the problem. And then I'm looking through your work and I'll be able to see citations. For example, I can only see Napora and Ocheng, and then I see KICD. Already that's a weak background. I've also seen newspapers. The Standard newspaper on 2023 reported that, 2023 Standard newspapers are very many. So you have gone into a lot of newspapers, but newspapers, there are ways we cite them, and we are very specific so that I can click on it and go to that paper. But also they are not authoritative sources, so you cannot anchor your study on a lot of these newspapers. But just tell me, what is broadly your problem?
My problem is we are not able to give the learners the competencies they require. Yes, and this is a problem that is being carried. If it continues, there is a way that the country won't be able to achieve the Vision 2030.
Agreed. So if that is it, can you accept we recast this topic? And I'm saying this, it should read. Don't say the outcome of, because outcome hata output haijatoka, output bado. Tumeweka inputs, bado haijaiva output, outcome, impact. So we just say domiciling junior secondary schools in primary schools in Kenya. Yeah.
Yes.
Quality implications. So there's a full column after Kenya. Quality implications.
Okay.
So already I know we are going to have problems with quality. And now in your sub problems, in your issues, you'll be able to pick out aspects like teacher capacity, for example. And when we say teacher capacity, we're now going to go to capacity in pedagogy, CBC pedagogy. We're going to look at staffing numbers. So we'll have an objective around staffing, the norms, the curriculum-based establishment in those schools. We are going to look at facilities. Yes, and for me, I would, this study, by the way, I would want to do something that is not obvious. I would like to measure job satisfaction.
Yeah.
Because I know many JSS teachers are very disillusioned.
It's true.
And it doesn't matter what we do, and that can be a major study, but it can be one of these. So you can see already you have more than 4 objectives, because we have seen quality implications of the JSS. So recast the background. I've seen your problem statement. When I take a picture with my mobile, when I take my picture like this, there's no mosaic. There's no single citation. That makes
Prof,
me nervous. Yes?
Prof, yeah, I had a problem with that because when I looked at the scholarly work done on the same, there's only one that I found. That's why I had to go to the newspapers.
No. On CBC?
Not on CBC, on JSS.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It is just CBC. I'm removing outcome from your topic.
Okay.
So we are current. No, there's a lot, and we can get a lot from the genesis. Where did this thing come from? What does UNESCO say? How many? What is the success rate? We have had these problems in South Africa and other areas. So there's a lot of literature we can pick from there. So the problem statement can't remain unanchored. So you come out, you're drenched in what? Love drenched accountability. Do you do the same? I'm going to do the same again.
Yeah, love drenched accountability.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. And then so then I would like you to recast. I've looked at your objectives. You see, you're saying evaluate the impact of domiciling JSS. There is no relationship between your objectives. I don't see them germinating from the problem statement. They are not germinating. So,
yes.
Yeah, but the area is researchable. And you need to interest me because I'm one of the architects of this CBC. So maybe I have
Okay, Prof.
Let us recast it. Thank you. The last candidate for tonight. Please bear with us, everybody. We have 10 minutes. I want us to look at Maureen Anyango Ongola. Kasamani, Josephine, are you online? You told me you have changed your work. And Obadiah is not available.
Yes, Prof, I'm online. I said
You told me.
Dr. Mwaka,
She's having it.
Huh? Huh?
Dr. Mwaka is having my work I sent to her.
Okay, all right, fine. So let us look at Maureen, the last one. Everybody, please hold on. Let's look at this one. You know, the first thing I asked myself, Maureen Anyango, why are you screaming? Your topic is screaming. You have underlined, you have capitalized. That is not APA. As a researcher, we only capitalize the first letter of the word, and we don't scream. People just respect them.
Okay.
Okay. Look at the topic. Integration of learners with special needs in the context of competency curriculum. Very lazy, very tired. Which is this competency curriculum?
I think it's an error. It's supposed to be competency.
Yeah, but for me,
curriculum.
I don't know you, but I see a very tired person, very tired. In the context
Sorry for
of
that.
okay,
I
so
also realized I forwarded the one that had not edited much. So I'm
okay.
sorry for that.
So just talk to me about the introduction to the background of the problem.
Yes. So I'll be very brief. My pain, as you always say, is the inclusion of learners with special needs in regular schools. And this is because I have taught in special schools for some time, though I'm not in special school right now, but I saw this challenge of students dropping out of school. And part of the reason that the dropout is actually documented, and I've actually cited some of the references that support that. And part of the reason why the students drop out is the distance they have to travel to schools, because special schools are located, quite a number in urban centers. And we find that many learners come from rural areas. So they have to travel the distance so that they attain the education. Now, that is why I really want to find out when I was going through some, for example, the report of the Presidential Working Party on education reforms, especially on CBC, I didn't find much, a lot of information on especially the policies on the implementation regarding learners with special needs. Like I've said, my problem is on integration. So I don't know if my topic really covers what I really need to find out.
So let me just ask,
Yes.
Is this thesis sitting in the policy realm or in the leadership realm?
Partly leadership, and I think partly also policies, because as you can see, the purpose, Dr. Carol, could you please scroll a bit to the purpose?
Now that's why I'm asking you.
As you can see, I'm seeking to establish the government policies or guidelines
on inclusive education with a focus on the learners with special needs. Yes.
Maureen, I have a lot of interest in this area myself. And I know what you're looking for, but I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
Until you tell me. So let me tell you why I'm saying that. For example, I would have structured your topic to be something like this. Policy elements influencing the implementation of inclusive education in the era of CBC. In Kenya. Policy elements influencing the implementation of inclusive education in the era of CBC in Kenya. I think that's what you're trying to say. That is one option. Huh? Policy elements influencing the implementation of inclusive education
in the era of CBC in Kenya.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
The other one is I saw this topic. I was very interested because the Zidgaki are in this area, and it's an area that we really need to make a contribution as a university. The other one is, can we have this as, are you trying to look at structural modification challenges? I'm giving an alternative topic. Structural modification challenges. Facing the implementation of inclusive education in the CBC context. Are you trying to say that? And if this is not what you're trying to say, just say, Ayiro, that's rubbish. You're not saying what I want to say. But I don't know when I read and what you're trying to say.
I think number one is actually representing my idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when we use number one, Maureen,
yes,
then it's very easy for us to problems. I've already seen them, the sub-problems. And a lot of them are already in your research objectives, although your objectives are not smart.
Okay.
I hope you're taking down my notes.
Yes, I'm
A lot of them are already there, but your objectives are not smart. So when I say that, what does it suggest in your mind? When I say your objectives are not smart, you're just smiling, or what are you saying?
They do not capture what I really need.
So what am I saying?
I need to redo them.
Yeah. And you have them. You have them. They're there. They're there. You know, during Christmas, where I come from in Vihiga, we didn't have a permanent house. We had a semi-permanent house. And in some homes, my mother used to go to the river to get clay. Anakuja na kwaruza ukuta yote ya nyumba, ya sitting room na nje for Christmas. That's what I want you to do. The nyumba is there. Aloe vera. aloe vera leaves to draw patterns on the wall. I know I'm talking to a generation that has never seen that done. But that's how we used to beautify. That's how we used to paint those mud walls. So, Maureen, I'm very happy with this topic. That's what I'm saying. Yeah?
Yes.
And I'll give you a theory. So you don't even have to look for a theory. Use the theory, the social model of disability theory. The social model of disability theory. Or just the social model of disability. That's your theoretical framework. So go and read around the social model, and it will even reinforce, you know what it's going to do, Maureen, is going to reinforce the social model of disability is going to reinforce our objectives.
Yes.
So, for example, sorry, members, I know it's getting late. For example, me, I would have just walked into this study in this area where you're going to do the study. How many students with physical disabilities have been enrolled? You bring out the number.
Will that be identifying the numbers of the prevalence?
Look at the extent, to what extent what extent have the structural adjustments, readjustment challenges affected? Yeah, if we are not making those facilities and we are taking them into normal schools, and then, the capacity that you have already there and awareness, and then strategies. If I were God, I'm not you. Okay, gentlemen and ladies.
Excuse me, Prof.
Yes.
If you'll allow me, should I work give you again the work on this and then forward so that you check?
But that's why I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, excuse me, Prof.
And both try to, help you, but we also get you people specialists. I can get you people from KISE.
Yes, that would
to work with you. Can get you people from KISE to work with you so that you get this right.
I really appreciate it.
Can we finish by putting down this? Josephine, you want to say something? Or your hand is...
Yeah, I wanted to say something. I don't know whether I can get even 5 minutes because tomorrow I'll be attending a funeral and I may not be able to present.
Yeah, so just bring in your work. It will be looked at.
Okay.
Yeah. Write these anecdotes. There are two, the one I gave you, but this one also. Relationship is the driver of change. Relationship is the driver of change. That's the topic. Put it in italics. Think of who made you who you are. Think of who made you who you are. Full stop. It was probably a parent, comma, It was probably a parent, comma, a teacher, comma, or a mentor. Or a mentor. It wasn't some organization. It wasn't some organization that was seeking a specific and measurable outcome. That can be reduced to metrics. So it wasn't some organization that was seeking a specific and measurable outcome. It wasn't a person looking to create a system of change that could scale. Full stop. It was just a person doing something. It was just a person doing something intrinsically good. Intrinsically good. Dash, making you feel known, comma, making you feel known, comma, cared for, comma, trusted, comma, unconditionally loved, dash. Without presuming to know, how that relationship, would alter the trajectory of your life. That is profound to me. So who made you who you are? I always talk about him. I had opportunity to tell him thank you when I was a high school teacher. I was the person who made me who I am, apart from my parents.
But I'm not strong.
Can we mute? The person who made me was my teacher for maths, for arithmetic at Igunga Primary School in Vihiga. He was called Shema Maheno. I still remember him. He was wearing shorts, these very long shorts with a cowboy belt and with gumboots every day. And he would come to class and he would start with problem number one when he was in the staff room. And we were 2 classes away from the staff room. So by the time he gets to our class, he's on number 5, which means most people would get 5 canes anyway. But that's the man who sharpened my intuition in maths. I'm talking of class 1 and 2, down there. So Shem was doing something intrinsically good that indeed changed the trajectory in my life. Please be sensitive to relationships. Sometimes God puts you in a space to meet certain people who will transform your life in a way that it will never be the same again. It's only those who have a mind to see that they exploit that maximally. So I'm talking of deep rationality as you walk on this path for your PhD and your master's program. Carol, thank you very much. Over to you. Tomorrow, God willing, 4 p.m. sharp.
All right, maybe we have 1 or 2 questions so that we close up.
And tomorrow, so we are coming straight into case studies and a few things to tie in. I keep wondering, what have I not done in chapter 1? Operational definitions. I want to cover them. That's the only thing remaining in chapter 1. So I'll cover it, and then we do presentations, and I hope we are learning a lot from these presentations. Maureen, you have my heart says we can do something special. Yeah.
Absolutely. We are learning a lot, Prof.
Over to you, Carol.
All right. Yeah, so because of time, we may not all have our questions. I know some people, as I said earlier, we for this class is specifically meant for a given class that is outlined in the Daystar timetabling. We just invite you to share with us knowledge from a prof. So we may not have the pressure to send you some notes. However, we would like you to attend so that you can learn, and you also have the YouTubes that you can be able to follow through Prof's lecture from lecture 1 to 28 today, and you can also take up the notes that you like. Otherwise, the class is literally usually meant for a specific class that welcomes you in this class. I would like to allow probably only 4 people to give their comments, and then we can answer. We can be able to move on. Probably let me ask just Okongo Nyamwata, you have any comment? Justo?
Hello?
Which program? Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing theology.
Okay.
Christian-Muslim relations.
Mm.
But my comment is I really appreciate this session. I've just joined today, and it has really been mind-opening to really understand well how I can handle chapter 1. So thank you so much, Prof, for this session. I wish I could have attended all the others, but I follow up through the YouTube. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Randomly, let's have maybe one female from another program, and then I come back to our class. I see someone precious. Okay. Josephine Otiende.
Hello, yes.
Josephine?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Josephine.
No, none.
All right. Lavender, any comment regarding today's class? Not there. Sister, you have always been in this class for some time now. Is that Sir, not sister, Sir Esther? Is that Sir or sister? Esther Kilatu? All right, in our class, Sam, you are one of the people who are given feedback. How do you feel, and any comment? Nyabera, I don't know if you are on already.
I'm on, Prof, even though it's actually very late where I am now. I appreciate the comments made, and I will definitely implement the changes that were recommended. I would have loved if Prof gave me a theory or model that I can also use around this area.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir, for that kindness. Thank you, Carol, for everything you're doing, and good night to everyone.
All right. Is it Ubaxitan? And that is who? Samuel Munyuini. That's one of the hardest. Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan. All right.
Good. Yeah.
Samuel Munyuini. always quite a name that I struggle, but it's a nice name. Development studies.
Carol. Supervisors.
Yeah.
Because now we have finished chapter 1, there's chapter 2 and 3. The second supervisor should now begin to be acquainting themselves with the students. So that's very important.
We'll be making that. Sam, you're saying something as well?
Yeah, no, just to comment on this and maybe the few other classes I've joined. I really want to say that this class is very lucky. I think in my master's class, I barely understood some of these things, and I think we graduated by a lot of grace. And I think this class is really, really lucky. Prof, I actually think we may have to rethink what we have content in the advanced research methods, because some of us are having this as the basic, yet it may appear already very advanced. So, and thank you for allowing some of us who are in our PhD classes to join this. And also that you really interspace this with the leadership, because that's really, really critical. Ultimately, knowledge without that level of God-fearing and understanding how to relate with people really makes no meaning. So thank you very much. I appreciate this.
Yeah, I would like to tell Samuel, I would like to try to introduce seminars. I have had a sense of concern. So we'll try to introduce seminars. We'll try to see critical areas, concepts in research, how we can clean them out. Because we are all one family, we are all Daystar. If you come out with a weak PhD, Daystar's credibility goes to the dogs. So we'll try to do that. But it is, as we said yesterday, just create a lot of restriction and constraint around yourself if you want to get the freedom of being a good researcher. You got to work hard at it.
All right, these three, Prof. These three only are the ones who will speak, and we allow you to go and rest.
Okay. No, it's okay.
Yeah, so Catherine, Mulwa, and Chris, please, you'll be the only ones to speak. We give Prof also some time to go and have some breath.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I was really hoping I would get a chance to speak. I just want to say that...
Who is that? Who is speaking?
This is Catherine Joffre.
Catherine, you're in which program?
I'm currently doing my master's in clinical psychology, and I was in the pioneering class for biomedical science. So we did an undergrad thesis, and going through this from yesterday and today, I feel very reassured and very, since you came, I've been very happy about how you've driven the importance of research and how not to be shabby in how you drive your intellectual pursuits. And also coming from a family of research, I just want to say thank you. I feel well taken care of and deeply reassured in where we're going as an institution. That's all. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very heartwarming. Thank you very much. It's nice to hear that. Okay.
Mulwa and then Wekesa, and we close.
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you, Prof. My name is Justin Mundwa, a PhD student, strategic management, and just want to echo the words of the first speakers that this is very, very helpful. But I also wish to state that, Prof, I'm interested in conducting a systematic review, and I have a concept paper that I would really, really love you to review it. Yeah. And also here your mention on the use of Prisma model, how the university can actually support some of us who are willing to take that path. Yeah. And also here directly from you, is it a route that will take me many years to clear, or is it a path that I can actually take and finish the program within the stipulated time? Okay. So I would really, really love you to do my concept paper.
I will. Do this, send that to Magdalene, my PA in instruction. She will send it over to me. She receives all the proposals and comments and so on. Yeah. Okay. So we'll look at it.
I actually sent
glad
it.
you're thinking of.
Prof, I actually sent it
Yes.
to Magdalene on Friday. But I
All
can
right.
still send
I
it
haven't
again.
seen the name is.
My name is Justin Mulwa.
Okay. I'll check. Justin
I think
Mulwa.
she was trying to first get out the master's ones. Probably, maybe that's why. So Chris and then
I'll
Dr.
check it
Lee
out.
from the faculty, you will wind up and pray for us as we finish.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Thank you, Prof. I just wanted to comment on the parting shot by Prof that relationships and to be sensitive to relationships. That was deep. I felt like you were speaking to me directly. And so, as you said, that God places people within our environment so that they can be our pillars. Allow me to say, God has placed you here so that you can be used to try, of course, to go and taking part in this. Lastly, Dr. Yuya, I want to humbly request that kindly you allow me to be among the first 2 people to present tomorrow, kindly, for reasons that if you allow me, I'll explain to you on the side chat. Thank you.
That's okay. We want those who have not, Chris, those who have not presented at all, to first move so that those who are recasting, since we are giving even the template, you work within that template. If you have ever presented, so that we move everyone else who is still behind. So finally, Dr. Lee, you can say your experience as also learning and also contributing, and then you can pray for all of us as we end the year today. I mean, not the year, the month today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Caron, I thank you for the invitation and even for the opportunity. I'm sincerely grateful to Professor Ayiro for what you're doing. Indeed, we are learning a lot even as we interact with the research. I think it comes in a different way altogether. I think this is very timely, and I think it is God's design for us to be able to engage at this particular time, especially for some of us who are also engaging in supervision. I think you are helping us greatly, and God will richly bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee. Thank you.
Let's pray. Our Father and our God, we are grateful to you. We thank you for this opportunity that you availed to us even to gather together in this forum of learning. We thank you, Lord, even for the wisdom that you have given your servant, that even he has been able in your way through the Spirit of God to be able to release it to us. Lord, we give you glory and we give you all honor. Thank you for the task that is ahead of us, even to incorporate it in our studies, incorporate it in our research, incorporate it in our theses, and even in our supervision. Lord, I pray that by your Spirit, you shall enable us, O Lord, even to do it in a way that is befitting, in a way that is going to bring glory and honor to you. Thank you, O Lord, even as we wind up for this class. I pray that you shall be with us, and even as we wind up this month, we give you all the glory for the provision and the protection that we have enjoyed. That even as we begin the new month, O Lord, you're going to be with us, you're going to strengthen us. And at the end of the day, all glory and honor and praise is going to be given to you. We bless you and we honor you. For it's in Jesus' name we pray, believing and trusting. Amen.
Amen.